A lot of people come to me and they say, hey, I think my property should be making 100K, or hey, what's wrong with my property? I think it should be making 80. We should be getting 600 a night. And the first thing I always say, these are some of the things that we recommend that you need to just focus on, but also make some changes so that you can rank higher and ultimately convert better. Number one, setting that standard to dominate Airbnb and Vrbo in your market. Get really good at that, and then start a brand for your direct booking site, your direct booking marketing. And then number two was that standard of ALE, amenities, location, experiences, capturing all of that in your photos, and then in your captions, and also in your marketing copy, following my listing description framework in the marketing copy. So it's professional and it converts better than anybody else's. Second to last, tracking your performance, your conversion rate, your first page rate, search to listing, your listing to booking, tracking those things on at minimum a monthly basis. And then lastly, today, we're going to be talking through creating the perfect listing. What goes into creating the perfect listing? A lot of people come to me and they say, hey, I think my property should be making 100K, or hey, what's wrong with my property? I think it should be making 80. We should be getting 600 a night. And the first thing I always say was, I need to know what the property looks like. If your pictures look like crap, if your marketing copy looks like, it's just one long paragraph, or if it's two sentences, it's not a true listing. It's not a true marketing page. And that's all Airbnb and Vrbo are, right? They're channels, they're platforms that we get to list on, but we need to choose what our marketing strategy is. And Airbnb and also Vrbo have a very particular algorithm. They know what types of listings convert the best. So about a year and a half ago, Airbnb came out with those little icons, right? They came out with the tiny home icon, the barn dominium icon, the countryside icon, the waterfront icon. They used AI to figure out on these listings where they are and what made those listings unique. Okay. But if you don't have what makes your listing unique in your pictures and in your marketing copy, they were less likely to rank you higher or give you those icons, because those icons are really a telltale for them to get you to, or for them to get the guest to book or to convert. So you have to know the game of the Airbnb algorithm, or else you're going to be lagging behind everybody else. So today we're going to be talking about that game. Not only that game for Airbnb and Vrbo, but also the game of getting conversions and how you're tracking your views, your search to listings, your listing to booking, all that stuff that, you probably hear on podcasts, but they don't actually give you, standards of what you should hit. Today is going to be talking about standards. We're going to be setting the standards on your listing, your marketing copy, your photos, what you're going to do. I'm going to give you a framework for that. And then we're going to track your performance, and we're going to set the standards for your performance. And then I'm also going to give you some data on tracking how often you should do refreshes on your property, how often you should actually refresh your title, your photos, that sort of thing, based on actual data that my company and also other people in the STR Secrets Mastermind have compiled together for you guys on this training here today. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, I am going to be sharing my screen some. So if you're not in the Short-Term Rental Secrets Facebook group, just go on Facebook, search Short-Term Rental Secrets, join that group, and find this training, and you'll be able to see my listing and really what the standard is. So, all right, let's get into it. So long story short, and I mentioned this earlier, Airbnb 2020, they had about 1 million listings. Now they have about 1.8 million listings. So it's almost doubled in the last 5 or 6 years. You need to be able to stand out. And there's a very specific framework that I use to stand out on Airbnb. And this is a framework that is the standard that I recommend everybody follow for creating their listing. The framework that you need for creating your listing. So I'm going to give you the framework, and then I'm going to show you an actual example that you can use. And let me just zoom in here so you guys can probably see this. I'm going to show you an example that you can actually copy and paste and use. And if you're in the STR Secrets Mastermind and you are a member, I give you access to my custom GPT that I've trained that can help you write your listing descriptions, your captions, your titles for you. But it is all based on and trained on this framework. So the first framework is called the ALE framework, the ale framework. I'm not a huge beer drinker, but I like ale, especially Gaelic ale from Highlands Brewing over in Western North Carolina. Shout out to them. It's a really good beer. But ALE stands for amenities, location, and experiences. You need to be capturing your amenities, your location, and your experiences inside of your listing multiple times consistently. So when we go through amenities, it's not just, the hot tub, the sauna. It is, maybe you got a beach place. What amenities are you offering for your beach wagon, your beach chairs, the towels, your beach toys? Maybe you've got a yoga mat and some free weights. Maybe you've got a cooler that they can bring to the beach. Especially if you're doing a beach house, you need to offer that stuff so that they don't have to pack all that stuff in their car. That just goes a long way. And then I'm going to get to it later, but you need to photograph those amenities and market those amenities. And, what are the amenities that are nearby as well? So it's not just where your house is and taking photos of your house. You're also going to take photos of things that are around your house. Is it, how close is it to the beach? How close is it to a hiking trail? How close is it to the best restaurants, the most highly rated restaurants? It is not just about the amenities that are on your property. You need to show them the proximity to all of the other amenities that are around your property as well. Any lakes that are nearby. Maybe they can take a kayak out on the lake. Maybe they can rent a boat nearby, right? You need to be able to capture and tell them those things inside your marketing page. Maybe there's a pool that's nearby. Again, close to the local arena, close to the stadium, close to a hospital. You need to put yourself in the shoes of whoever is booking your home. And you can't say, hey, there's hiking and there's McDonald's and there's a stadium all within 10 minutes. I'm going to put all three of those in my listing. You're not really going to want to do that. You're going to want to focus on who is your ideal guest and who is your ideal, booker avatar that is going to book your home. And then how do you get them to see the value in your property to pay a price that is the highest price possible for that night, for that weekend, for their stay, right? So again, amenities, what is in your home, but think about the little details, the stocked kitchen, showing all the pots and pans that you have, showing all the dishware that you have. Maybe you've got a fancy coffee machine, taking, pictures of that, but also putting that in your listing as well. And when you do the pictures, you're going to want to put captions on those pictures as well so that they can see those, they can read those, right? So that's the amenities and location. Now, experiences, this is where it gets into the marketing copy is what I call it. And the marketing copy is basically just your captions, it's your title, it's any text that you're putting that people are reading. Some people are very visual, but also visual compared with reading, and reading something that invokes emotion for them is what they want, right? So how do you want your guests to feel when they come to your home? What experiences are available to them? What amenities are nearby? What's also, in the home that they're able to use? And you need to be able to showcase that. And this is, they don't really care too much about the fire pit, right? You take a picture of a fire pit or you say, hey, I've got a fire pit in your listing description. They care about how they're going to feel when they're creating a lifelong memory for their kids or for their grandkids as you're roasting s'mores next to the fire and playing wagon wheel on the guitar, right? That's what you want to put in your listing. And that's what you want to put in your captions as well. It's not just, hey, we have a fire pit. It's, hey, imagine yourself and your 8 grandkids, or imagine yourself and your family sitting around the fire pit, playing some music, roasting some s'mores this fall. That's what you want to put in your listing, right? You can use ChatGPT for that, but I'm going to share, again, for those of you that are members in the mastermind, you have access to my custom GPT that is in school, in the training platform that you can use to help you write this. But other things too, soaking in the hot tub, imagine yourself after a long day of mountain biking, coming back home and soaking in the 8-person hot tub while you're watching the football game on TV, right? That's an experience that we offer at one of my properties, and I'm going to show you here in a second. Same thing with any sushi restaurants that are close. I said sushi restaurants that are close by, right? This is where I'm going to talk about photos next. So photos, the lifestyle photos where you're showing the different experiences, you're showing the location on the lake, you're showing the amenities, the fishing pole that we offer. This is what you want to capture. You want to capture all 3 of those things in these photos. You're not just capturing the outside of the home, right? You're not just capturing the bedrooms. You're not capturing the living room. You're capturing all the amenities, the location, and the experiences that you want to have in this home. And you have to get lifestyle photos for all of your properties if you want to rank higher, because one, these lifestyle photos, statistically, people click on them more, right? So your click-through rate is higher because there's people in this photo. I want to see what else is there, right? Because nobody else has people in their photos. This is just a picture of my daughter and my wife fishing at one of our properties that we're managing, right? So getting lifestyle photos, you're going to want to find like a lifestyle photographer or somebody who has done this before. Andrew Keller is the best lifestyle photographer, real estate, short-term rental photographer in the world, in my opinion, hands down. I think a lot of people would agree with me. If you can get on his calendar, absolutely do it. I know he spends a lot of time on the East Coast, but if you're finding a interior design photographer, you kind of want to stay away from like the real estate photographer that just does a ton of real estate listings, that gets the wide angle photos and, that sort of thing. You're going to want to stay away from that as much as you can, unless you can teach them and coach them up on, hey, we're going to set the table and we're going to put charcuterie out. And we're also going to put, the hot tub jets on. And we want a close-up photo of that with wine and charcuterie out. You're going to want that because, again, it gets more views, it gets more clicks, and then you rank higher in Airbnb's algorithm as you convert better as well. Now I'm going to jump over to one of my listings. So this is one of my listings in the mountains. And so the title, Amazing Mountain Views, Hot Tub, Dog Friendly. So title is very, very generic, but it's got everything. Amazing Mountain Views, Hot Tub, Dog Friendly. You only have 50 characters, right? I wouldn't worry too much about the title. I'll get into when I recommend you updating the title. But here you show the amazing mountain views. I've got the wine out. You see kind of the fall colors, some more interior design type of photos here, the hot tub photo, and then also a photo of some hiking trails nearby, right? And so I'm going to scroll through some more of these photos here as well. I'd say most all of my pictures have some sort of Photoshop in the TVs. One of my biggest pet peeves is like just seeing black screens as most of a photo. And so I try and Photoshop as many of these TVs as possible. But you can see like a lot of these, photos are staged. They look really nice. Let's see some better examples here. Scroll down. Yeah, we've got like the Honey Nut Cheerios out. We've got the banana out, the orange juice. Same thing here. We've got the wine out. Try and, put the throw pillows on, put the throw blankets on. I've got about 100 photos in here, but I like to rotate them. This is that one picture I was talking about. So this is a outdoor movie theater when you're sitting in the hot tub or kicking back in the rocking chair, watching a movie or the game in the outdoor movie theater, right? You want them to invoke some sort of emotion here. So it's not only, the cool photos, but it's the caption that goes with it. You can obviously use ChatGPT to help you with this as well. You can use something like Jasper as well. You can just train it and just say, hey, look at this photo and help me create a caption that invokes some sort of emotion for this outdoor movie theater while they're sitting in the hot tub, soaking in the views. All right. Valerie said, yes, using captions, but I don't really think they matter, but I do spend some time on them. I wouldn't do it for 116 photos, but for your top 5, absolutely. Probably for your top, I would say 10 photos, you're going to want to have captions in there because, again, it's just another opportunity to get eyeballs on your listing and have a better click-through rate. So let's talk about the marketing copy next. So capturing amenities, location, and experiences inside of your marketing copy. So you've got your about the space, which is 500 characters. And then you've got the space, which is, unlimited, right? And so this structure that I'm sharing with you guys here, this structure is a structure that was created by marketing experts in tandem with the folks over at RankBreeze to convert better than any other structure possible. So the way that they do it is they describe the area, what it looks like, what you can do there, and what those experiences are going to be. And then they have a call to action. And then they showcase what is going to be close by. So it's 10 minutes to Pisgah Forest and it's 13 minutes to downtown Brevard. And then in here, what they recommend in the space is they recommend bullet pointing the key features. One of the most common mistakes is people aren't using the space correctly. They just write one big paragraph and that's it. And so you need to bullet point the key features. You have to get creative, or you can use something like ChatGPT to do this. And then from there, after the bullet points, you add in some testimonials. So that if this is an existing listing, you add in some of your best testimonials. And then you break down the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the living areas, the outside space, and then you have a call to action at the bottom as well. I like to add these little emojis because, they're not, anything crazy, but they look better than just like dashes and little bullet points. But they look like bullet points. But you got the sun and you got stars. All right. So if you guys want, just comment description and I will send you my listing here, which again ranks in the top % of homes. It's actually not on the lake. These little icons sometimes are incorrect, but this is one of the top ranking properties in all of Brevard, North Carolina. And I believe is because of the pictures that showcase the amenities, location, and experiences, but also the marketing copy that is professional, that showcases the amenities, location, and experience. So all you got to do is comment description and I will send you this listing. And if I'm you, what I'm doing is literally copying this entire thing, pasting it, putting it in a Google Doc, and then reworking your listing based on my structure. And I say my structure, it's really the conversion and marketing gurus that have created this structure as well. All right. So that's the standard. Any questions you guys have, just go ahead and put them in the comments. But this is going to be the standard that I recommend everybody go through. So your ALE framework, capturing ALE in your photos, in your captions of your photos, and then also in your marketing copy down here below. So that is what you want to do to set your standard for creating a new listing. Suzanne asks, is that near Asheville? Yes, it's about 45 minutes south of Asheville, close to the South Carolina border. All right, cool. So no questions. So next, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Next, I want to go through tracking your performance. So now that you have a good listing, right, that is up to standard, it's up to par, your photos are good, you've got lifestyle photos, they are staged, it's got photos of what's nearby, you're capturing all the amenities on your property, near your property, you're capturing the location, you're capturing all those experiences. All right, I got a couple questions here. So how many pics should we use? In my case, this one has 117, but it's a bigger house. Typically recommend like 50 to 70 if you're a bigger home. If you're smaller, obviously that can go down. 1-2 bedrooms, you're not going to be able to have 50 photos, but I would say between 50 and 70 photos is what I typically recommend. And then, I'll talk about this a little bit later on too, but you need to rotate your photos based on the season that you're booking for. So if you're in the summer in the mountains, you're booking for the fall. If you're in June and July, you're booking for the fall. So you want to have your fall photos up. If you're in the fall, you're booking for your off season. So you're going to want to have, or not even your off season. If you're in the fall in the mountains and you've got ski resorts nearby, you're going to want to have the ski photos up of the ski mountain, of, what you offer to the person who is going to be coming and skiing or snowboarding. What are the different amenities that you offer to them? Maybe you've got like a little landing room, they can put their skis, that sort of thing. Or you need to showcase those and rotate your photos based on the season. If you have winter photos up all year long, it's going to be a little weird, right? If you're up in maybe the White Mountains and it's January and your season's almost over and you're trying to get the summer booked, you're going to want to have the mountain biking photos up. You're going to want to have, the golf photos up. You're going to want to have also for the different seasons, like you got the fall season, the leaf color season, leaf changing season. You just want to be strategic on what are your booking windows for certain dates, and then make sure your marketing and your photos show those and you take the other ones out. So yeah, I think that is super, super important to rotate your photos based on the season that you're currently booking for, not the season that you're currently in. Adrian said, how do we get out of the photo tour? So in Airbnb, you basically get to pick your first 5 photos. And I guess I can show you here. Let me just show this entire window here. All right. So all you got to do is go to hosting. You go to listings. I'm just going to pick one of these new listings. I'll just pick this one. All right. And then you'll go to all photos. I would say no thanks. So don't let them arrange those photos. Manage photos. And these are going to be your top 5. The ones that are at the top, these are really just going to be your top 5 that you're going to choose from. So you're going to want to rotate those in and out. if you go to the listing page, you're going to see those same ones in the top 5. And then when you go to show all photos, then it's going to show what's in the living room, what's in the kitchen, what's in the dining area, which I think is totally fine. So, but when people are scrolling through different listings, and they're going to see these first 5 first. So you're going to want to have your best pictures as your first 5. You're also going to have captions for those too. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now. So you got a listing, you got standards. Now you need to track your performance. You can use Airbnb's insights for this. So if you go to Airbnb insights, you're going to want to be tracking your conversion rate, which if you guys have a paper and pen, you should be writing this down right now, or take a note in your phone if you're watching this on your phone. Your conversion rate, I would say a solid conversion rate is a 0.1 to 0.5%. And this is really over 30, I would say like 30 days. Look at your past 30 days. And it's not typically for like new listings, but I would say listing that has been recreated, that has been standardized, maybe for like 3-6 months, your conversion rate should be 0.1 to 0.5%. So conversion rate, all that is somebody that lands on your page, what's the likelihood of them booking? Okay. Or I'm sorry, not what the likelihood is, who actually booked. So if you had 0.1% to 0.5% book, landing on your page and then book, that's pretty solid. Now, first page impressions, I would say between like 50 and 70% first page impressions is solid. If you're not getting 50% first page impressions, you may be in a massive market that has thousands of listings, and you need to use something like Rank Breeze to figure out where you are listing or where you are ranking on Airbnb's algorithm, and then figure out, all right, how do I rank higher? Is it my pricing? Is it my listing? What am I doing to rank higher? So between, I'd say 50 and like 70% is going to be solid for first page impressions. Next is going to be your search to listing. And I recommend guys just tracking this. You can do it every week. You can do it every month. You can have somebody in your team do it, but you can also just look at it today. Search to listing. So your search to listing should be between like 12 and 18%. If it's not, then you're probably not optimized your listing or your pricing. You're way down in the algorithm. And then listing to booking should be between 1 and 2.5%. So those are the 4 metrics that we're typically tracking. So tracking those really on a weekly basis, and we've got a spreadsheet that shows it so that we know. Also, I track views as well. I recommend tracking views just to make sure that your views aren't going down significantly, really year over year. It's probably too much to track week over week. So you get these rates from, and I can share my screen again, but from your insights in Airbnb. Okay, so you should be able to get, let's see here, overall conversion rate, first page impressions, average search to listing, and average listing to booking conversion. And let me just share my screen again here so you guys can see this and maybe take a screenshot of what it should look like here. So here we go. So this particular property, average overall conversion rate is 0.46%. So it is between that 0.1 and 0.5. It's on the higher end. 57% first page impressions, 17% average search to listing, and then 2.6% listing to booking conversion. So this is one of our best performing properties in the portfolio. So it's doing very, very solid. If you're below these numbers, you just want to track these and then also track your views to see, month over month, what's been going up, what's been going down, and make sure you're just tracking your views over time. Last week, I found out that one of my properties hadn't gotten views in like 3 weeks. And I was like, what the heck happened? And so I took a look at it with Matt McDonald, who's one of our head coaches at STR Secrets, specifically around listing optimization and revenue management. And what we decided on is, hey, we need to do a little bit of a change. The 4th step in the framework is going to be how often you change things. Okay. So how often are you updating your property, your photos, your listing, swapping or rotating photos, how often are you updating your photo descriptions, that sort of thing. So it's one of those, I would say, myths that haven't been talked about in a couple of years. How often do we do these things? But we've actually tracked it over the last year and a half, and we've come up with basically KPIs to optimize your listing. So first and foremost, you're going to want to do a property refresh every 2.5 to 3 years. So when I say property refresh, you're going to want to update your linens, but then also add more things to the property, whether it's you need to rotate out a couch or you need to add a sauna, you need to add a hot tub, you need to add different amenities. Basically, it's like keeping up with the Joneses. That's what that property refresh is every 2.5 to 3 years. This is very, very standard in the hospitality industry. I've done a live on this, a podcast on this in the past. It is called a property improvement plan. Hilton does this, Marriott does this. I think it's like every 10 years for them, but they obviously don't have as much individual competition. There's not as many hotels as there are STRs. So every 2.5 to 3 years, you're going to want to do an entire property refresh again, especially on the linens, but also on your photos, on, capturing all the new things that you added and just refreshing everything every 2.5 to 3 years. Updating your listing title every 3 to 4 weeks is what we found works really well and keeps us ranking high. Getting new photos, again, every 2.5 years. You're going to want to swap out or rotate those photos every 2 to 3 weeks. You're going to want to rotate some of your photos in your top 5 just to see if you're going to rank higher. So it's basically A/B testing those photos every 2 to 3 weeks to see if you can get higher views, higher conversions, higher click-through rate as well on your listing. Getting your seasonal photos every 3 to 4 months. I already talked about that. Updating your photo descriptions, your captions every 1 to 2 months. And then updating the space and also the neighborhood and really just the listing description every 4 months. So changing up some things. Again, this is more for the season and what season you're booking for. So, if you're booking for, the ski season in January or December or February right now, you're going to want to use your marketing copy to get them to understand why they should book with you based on the proximity to the ski resorts, that sort of thing. Same thing for, if you're at the beach and you got properties at the beach, you're inviting snowbirds right now, right? So what are you going to do to invite snowbirds? Maybe you're going to put 40% off discount for snowbirds. Maybe you're going to put that in your title. Maybe you're going to put that in your listing description somewhere. Maybe you're going to put that in your captions somewhere. So just think about that. But these are some of the things that we recommend that you need to just focus on, but also make some changes so that you can rank higher and ultimately convert better. Those are the 4. That's really the 4-step framework, right? It's number 1, setting that standard to dominate Airbnb and Vrbo in your market. I didn't talk much about this. I didn't talk much about direct bookings or anything like that. I typically recommend to folks, especially when you're first starting out, you need to dominate and set the standard for Airbnb and Vrbo first. Get really good at that, and then start a brand for your direct booking site, your direct booking marketing. And then number 2 was that standard of ALE, amenities, location, experiences, capturing all of that in your photos and then in your captions and also in your marketing copy, following my listing description framework in the marketing copy. So it's professional and it converts better than anybody else's. And then lastly, or second to last, tracking your performance, your conversion rate, your first page rate, search to listing, your listing to booking, tracking those things on at minimum a monthly basis. And then lastly, going through how often you should change things up in order to still rank high and still convert really, really well. So those 4 things, guys, I put all of this inside of a Google Doc, a document that you guys can have. If you comment optimize in the comments, I will send it to you guys 100% for free. Again, we really need to change the reputation for Airbnb in our HOAs, in our cities, in our towns, in our states. Airbnb is getting a really bad reputation because, in my opinion, poor property management, poor hosting. And we need to raise the standards for hosting, be better neighbors, be better marketers, provide better experiences. And when the tide raises, all boats raise, right? So let's raise the tide. So just comment, optimize, make your listing better, and I will send that document over to you. Now, I do a lot of these trainings. If you guys want hands-on help and just our blueprint of not only this, but blueprint for revenue management, blueprint for hiring people, blueprint for spend a lot of time on sales and attracting new clients ethically. If you want our help doing that, just comment help and I will have a conversation with you, or somebody on my team will have a conversation with you of how we may be able to help. You may have things dialed in. It may not be the right time for you, but there's we're in Q4 now. So we got October, November, December. I set a goal yesterday with my coach. So I have a coach as well to get 9 more listings this year. That'll bring in probably an additional like 20K a month for our company, and then allow us to hire another person, another full-time person that again will allow me to step more out of the business and working more on the business. And then also helping more people do this too, because I think this is my passion, coaching, teaching other people on how to improve their short-term rental businesses, and really just coaching in general. It's really what I think I'm put here to do. Taking things that I learned in my management company and then sharing that with you guys is something that fires me up, and I think is making a difference. So if you guys want help with that, just come and help. I'll reach out to you and we can have a conversation on what that would look like and how other people have done it too. So we've got probably about 300 people, a little over 300 people in that's gone through the program that have still stuck around. We've got a new training center. We're going to be doing events, a lot of events next year. We've got our first event, STR event, that is members only. So it's already at 100 people. So it's already sold out for fire code. We can only have about 100 people inside of our new office and event center, training center. So that one's sold out. It's going to be in November, but we're going to be doing many of them next year. So I look forward to just opening this up for everybody. It's in Beverly, Massachusetts, where Mike Shogren lives, and Chris Petsy and a lot of the team. Matt McDonald is up there as well, Dave Menapace. That is it for this week, guys. I appreciate everybody showing up, playing full out. Again, if you have any questions, my DMs are open. Feel free to shoot